Hello everyone and welcome to Campus Channel. I'm here with emlyon Business School and we're going to be talking about the MSc in Supply Chain and Operations Management. In order to do so, I have the pleasure to welcome three guests of honor. The first one, the program director himself, Eric David, and two of his students.
Hello.
Mansour Zenined and Emma Perrault. The three of them are here to answer my questions, but first we're going to start with the pitch. So the pitch, Eric, 60 seconds to tell us what roughly we need to know about your program. Are you ready?
Yeah. Well, this is a program to make you become either a plant director, a risk manager, a supply chain director, or a purchasing director, to simplify. Then, of course, when you start, you're a junior, but after, say, 2 years, 3 years, then you can climb up in the scale. You have also alternatives like working in the administration or in consulting companies and so on. But basically, we aim at training people who will work in industry because whether you are living in an emerging country or in an old economy, in both cases, industry is making a comeback now. So there are a lot of jobs, a lot of recruitments, good salaries at the end of the day, and very interesting careers. So we have tried to make a program which is encompassing everything that you need to equip yourself with the toolbox so that you can do this kind of jobs.
All right, well, perfect. Right on the clock. How to get in? That's what we're going to answer through the admissions. So first thing first, who can apply, Eric?
Well, people who have studied already 3 years in upper education, then they come in the first year of the program. Then if you have already studied 4 years or 5 years, or even more, you can apply to the second year directly. You will stay within the school either 2 years or 1 year, and in the end you get the same diploma.
All right, well, let me ask you, what was your academic background? I'm going to start with you, Emma.
So I went to Montreal to do a Bachelor of Commerce, specialized in international business and operations management, which I obtained in 3 years. After which I did a gap year, and then I integrated emlyon in the Master 2 year.
All right. What about you, Mansour?
I did agronomical engineer in Toulouse, and I touched supply chain issues in few internships and even a job after that. But I wanted to specialize myself, and it drove me to the master that was available at emlyon.
What do you like about supply chain?
Well,
it sounds very specific, very technical.
Yeah. I think that what I like the most about supply chain is the idea that you help from raw material to the end user every steps that go along the way, whether it is for the purchasing, for the transformation. In every different steps, you as a supply chain actor can bring value, whether it is to improve the process, to reduce the cost, or to develop new ideas.
As a student who came from Montreal, what made you choose emlyon? Because it feels like you have a very international background.
Yes.
Canada. Why emlyon? Why France?
But I come from France, so obviously I wanted to be closer to my family as well, because after spending 3 years abroad, very far away, with the COVID crisis and everything, I also wanted to go back to where I came from. And emlyon had a very, very good supply chain program, so, and very few schools actually have supply chain programs that aren't directed at professionals already. So that was a 2-in-1 for me.
The two of you, and you're going to confirm that, had to go through a digital test.
Yes.
Completely, yes.
All right. What is it made of? How do you prepare for those? Because like to me, like I always say, whenever I have an MSc from emlyon with the digital test, I'm like, so you press a key on the keyboard and then it's recording your face. And isn't it stressing? How do you prepare for that?
Well, for the test, there was 2 major parts. The first one was to put yourself into some sort of simulation where you deal with teams, how you deal with conflict, how do you deal with deadlines, and all this, I would say, soft skills that you're going to need to be a good manager. On the second part, as you said, there's the idea of a camera filming you, where there's a question that you're not necessarily prepared for, or it's more to test your general knowledge on some sort of questions. It's been a while now, but I think that a few questions that I had was regarding what is big data,
I know that some were quite broad. It's mostly about, have you like, do you have any idea what you're gonna be studying? You know, just a bit. You don't need to know much about supply chain to answer these questions, but it's just like, have you searched for information, and do you get any idea what you're getting for, like, what you're gonna start?
And how long have your answer have to be? You have to talk for 1 minute, for 2 minutes?
Yeah, short, relatively short. There's a few written questions about like supply chain, modes of transportation, competition, like competitive advantages, stuff like that. And then there's a few like oral questions that you have to answer.
All right, Eric, which advice would you give?
To prepare for this?
To prepare for this.
I would recommend to be honest. That is, if you try to answer something and you know nothing about it, you will lie or you will get embarrassed. And in fact, you will not show your right profile. In fact, what we try to do is not to test if people know already about supply chain, because if it was the case, what the hell would they do in the program? No, the problem is not this. The problem is first, motivation. The second one is, can I demonstrate that I'm able to answer a question, to say something that makes sense, not really to speak in public, but you are in front of a camera, and anyway. So in the end, you show your motivation, you show your honesty in answering, you show the way that you face destabilizing questions, and then you show your ability to speak in front of somebody or in the camera. And then that's enough, because we do not want to introduce tests on the topic itself. That's out of question. What we want to get is students who want to learn, not students who already know.
What's the most important to you, the digital test, the application, or the level of English?
Well, the level of English is just tactical, it's not strategic. If you speak English, that's okay. If you don't speak English, you learn. Okay, so you need a basic level, but nobody will accept that you come in the program just because you speak English. What is really important is that you are motivated and you will dedicate a part of your time and effort to learn. So once you demonstrate that you have started learning, you already know a little about this, you have already made an internship or some job in this domain, then okay, we believe you, and the rest is just, you know, tactical.
You have several dates of applications?
Yes, once a month during 6 months, between November and June.
Would you say that the sooner you apply, the more your chance are to get in it?
Yes and no. To be really transparent, well, first, we do not fill the bottle in the beginning to say no, too late in the end. But beware, if you come in the end, it means that you have not been accepted anywhere else. So that does not give a good image of you if you apply too late.
All right, well, I guess that's the first cliche. It's not just a cliche. If you apply too late, that could be too late. And for the other cliches, let's see what happens. Cliches are about preconceptions, idea that you might have had before applying. Once you've applied, about emlyon Business School, about supply chain, anything that comes to your mind. Monceau, what would be your cliche?
First one for emlyon, I think that it was probably the idea of corporate institutions. I come from a very, very old engineering school, where the school is in a castle, and switching...
Called Poudlard?
Nearly, yes. And switching from a very, very new building and very high tech made a big switch for me. Now, is it corporate? I would say in some part, yes. However, it managed to find the right balance between what you would like to represent as an image and what you need to build for the future.
All right. What would be your cliché, Emma?
My cliché would be more about supply chain. So that supply chain is more or less about moving boxes, which is...
Is it not?
No, it's much more. Because people have no idea how integrated it is in every organization and how it affects every service and every level of the organization.
What would be your definition of supply chain? We kind of had the one from Monceau. What would be yours?
It's all the steps that are involved, like from the procurement, the very beginning, to like the delivery of the final product. And it's about everything, really. It's going to be in relationship with every aspect of the enterprise, and it's about making it optimized so that you can deliver your product the best way possible.
If I can add maybe a little bit on what Emma just said, and it can inform, I think, people that would like to get into supply chain. One part that is extremely interesting is that you can work, whether it is directly with the clients or with the consumers. You can work with in BCG corporations, you can work in the food industry, you can work in every industry in the world. And that's maybe another cliche that is in the supply chain. People think that it's very, very specialized, that you could find it in only a few companies, while every company in the world needs it.
I feel like boat transportation, you know, when the Panama Canal was stuck, all of a sudden supply chain was something, then that's what people thought of.
Yeah.
Eric, what would be your cliche?
Well, I would bounce on what Mansour said about industry. A lot of people have a bad image of industry. They believe that it's noisy, dirty, greasy, dangerous, and so on. Industry is something which is really attractive now because every country in the world either wants to develop industry or to re-industrialize, because we have made a lot of mistakes in the past 30 years by moving too fast and too exclusively to services. But we need jackets, we need tables, we need food, we need houses, and that is industry. You need to produce that, you need to deliver that. If you have not this, you import everything and then your economy collapses. So these sectors of economy are various, as Mansour has said. You go from agri-food industry to pharmaceuticals, a lot of things, vehicles, housing, everything, energy, whatever you may imagine. And in the end, there are plenty of opportunities in every domain. Every domain is really useful, and what you do gives a meaning or sense to your life. So I think that industry is making a comeback.
All right, so if you want to be part of the comeback, apply to this program. What is it made of? Let's see that through the programs. Many challenges, supply chain is facing many challenges, sorry. How does this program take into account the growing use of AI?
Oh, AI is a common short name for a lot of things. Digital, robotics, and a lot of, let's say, advanced techniques, mixing mechanics and electronics. It's about blockchain, it's about big data, it's about artificial vision, it's about robotics, it's about autonomous vehicles, smart buildings, whatever you may imagine. So we have a lot of classes on that domain. We have classes on project management to introduce this, not just project management in general, but dedicated to introducing new techniques. And also there is a certain way to look at it from the geopolitical or geoeconomic point of view, which is to say, what will the world of tomorrow look like when we introduce these technologies? So the idea is that in the end, students can, I hope, develop a certain big picture of what is likely to happen and find their place in this brave new world.
You also had to go through an international seminar, yes, I believe. How has it impacted you as students, or on your perspective on the supply chain or the operation management also?
Well, it was an experience that we had in Barcelona for 2 weeks. I'll say that it brought us another vision of how operations work. We had the opportunity to visit a port, also to visit different, I would say, startups that are working on projects, very, very various topics. But I think that the thing that constructed the most my idea around supply chain is about the capability of touching everything. Whether it is at the port for sending something from Barcelona to Morocco, or simply because a person had a great idea around new technologies, and I think it could link with the AI that you were talking about earlier. You can do a lot of things. You can do everything. And if I can maybe bounce back on what Mr. David said, regarding AI, we had classes on what we call IoT, so Internet of Things, on what we call also digital twins, a lot of new technologies that will be introduced in the market. And the opportunity in the master is to understand how we can introduce them, what issues they solve, and how companies can benefit from it.
Emma, have you studied the in-company project?
Yes,
So which company are you working with?
I'm working on the Transalpine project, which is a railway that's going to link Lyon to Italy for mostly freight transports. And so we're studying the economical aspects that this railway, this whole system is going to bring, both in France and in Italy. Yeah.
And which role are you going to play as students? Are you just like listening to what's happening? Are you
No.
going to actually give some ideas?
No, we're trying to, based on past projects that have happened, we're trying to determine what opportunities basically the project is going to be able to open. These opportunities then have to be taken or not by politicians and companies, but we're trying to see globally what that can bring and how politicians and regions and companies could benefit from that and develop their own things.
And on a more personal level, like such as soft skills, what have you developed through that experience? What have you learned?
It's a lot about communication and working in teams, because we're part of a big report that's then separated into smaller parts. So it's about within my own team communicating and developing our ideas, and then making sure with the other teams that we coordinate so that we don't repeat ourselves over and over.
I believe that supply chain requires organization and a logical mind.
Yes,
I'm sure
definitely.
you would agree with me. How would you teach those two things during those 2 years?
If you don't like geometry, don't enter this university. That's Plato's writing on the fronton of the academy in Athens.
That's very true.
So you need to understand logic, you need to understand mathematics, you need to understand information systems. If not, you will have a qualitative vision of things, but you will never optimize anything. So you need to have not an expertise in these domains, but you need to have a certain feeling for it, a certain feel that it is attractive, and you want to develop some quantitative and logical approach of these things.
New specialization at the end of year 2, Industry 4.0 and risk management.
Yeah, we have the old, let's say, canal historique, we say in Corsica, which is supply chain and purchasing. And then we create next year, in September 2025, we create a new option, a new track, which is about risk management. And in fact, we want to train not just risk managers, but also future plant managers.
Do you know which specialization you're going to have?
They will finish this year, so they will not continue next year. So for the time being, you are in the supply chain track,
Yep.
Okay.
which is the only one which is existing as of today.
Okay. You have. You also had a 4 weeks international term, or not?
That's going to be later.
Oh, that's also
yeah.
for next year.
No, it's later
They
this
will
year.
do
We're
that.
going to have it in
Just
mid-May
explain.
Mid-May. Okay. Where is it going to take place?
in Casablanca.
Casablanca.
It's a partnership with the school La Centrale, and it's a way for us to work on new issues, especially on emerging markets like we have in Morocco.
Yeah, because one of the questions was like, can I take part of those 4 weeks, or do I have to choose between that and a specialization? But I can do two.
No. You have to choose between one specialization or the other one. And then when you choose one specialization, if you choose supply chain management, you will go to Morocco. If you choose risk management and industrial management, that is plant management, you will go to Rotterdam in the Netherlands.
A master dissertation is required in order to graduate.
Yes, for everybody, 6 months.
What's the subject?
Well, the subject is chosen by the student. Then the student, of course, discuss with the supervisor. There is a face-to-face follow-up with one professor and one student. Then they decide together. Well, first, it must be in the scope of what you have studied. That's normal.
Sense.
But apart from that, you are completely free to choose the topic you want. That can be about human resources, information systems, technical things in logistics, or whatever you may imagine. Providing that in the end, you take a real problem in the world and you try to contribute to solve it, even if it is not really completely ambitious, even if it is low profile, but at least you add a little brick in the construction because you innovate, you invent something to solve a problem.
Emma, Do you know where you're going to pick as a subject?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Also?
I'm in a few discussions with a few companies, yes. But I think that the 3 points that are really interesting for me right now would be either to work in the lux industry, in the BCG, or in the agro-food industry.
And why the 3 specifically?
They all have specific issues and challenges that we need to face. And the opportunity as of right now for both of us, I think, is to become experts in the domain. We need to learn from the best and we need to go to the best.
And has it any link with what you want to do afterwards?
Yes, always. Well, I come from Morocco and my opportunity, from the opportunities of this master is for me to bring new ideas and to innovate on the country. And as I said, I'm looking to learn from the best and then to being able to bring the best in my country.
All right, well, that makes perfect sense. What will the other students do? Well, that's what we're going to discover through after. First, Emma, what will you miss the most once you will have your diploma?
I guess that's a classic about school, but
Apart from the program director, obviously.
but you know, the class spirit, the classmates, all of this, like seeing everyone every day, and the student life as well. Like that's a classic one.
What about you, Monso?
I think part of, yes, we have the chance to be very, very diverse in the class, coming from all around the world. So there's always interesting exchanges. But I think that one of the things that I will probably miss is learning in the academic way. But thankfully, with the job opportunities, I'll learn in a professional way.
A question I used to ask, I don't ask it anymore, but I want to ask it for you, Eric. What makes you a good program director?
I think that I learned in the field, because there is no way to become a program director except that you have a certain motivation to give students what you have not received when you were young. So during the whole of my life, I've made a lot of very interesting things in industry and in economy in general. And I've always regretted that when I was young, I could have been helped by people. And then this is what I try to do with the other people.
And what are you expecting from your students after they've graduated?
That they make decisions, that they drive their career their own way. If they are not happy, they slam the door.
That's your advice?
Yeah. Never obey. Obeying has never been a proof of intelligence.
Well, that makes sense. Maybe the last questions. 2 last questions. How does your networks facilitate career opportunities?
Well, it would be interesting to have the feedback from our 2 young friends. What we try to do, and I hope we are successful, but they will say that.
We will check that, yeah.
We invite companies to present in forums or whatever, webinars or any other occasion to present opportunities, job opportunities, internship opportunities. Then we have a career center, which is a department specialized in this domain. And I also insist on the fact that 50% of the professors come from industry. They are not academic professors, and they have networks. So it's up to the students to discuss with the professors to open their notebook, including their network and the contacts that they could have. Also, I could mention the Alumni Association, which has something like 45,000 people around the world. And in the end, I must say that in most cases, the students find by themselves. So it means that it's part of their personal motivation to search, and not just to rely on some administrative service that will provide something already cooked and already, ready made.
Emma, does it work?
I mean, we'll see. I haven't got an internship yet, but it's clear that we get the opportunity to discuss with a lot of professionals, whether it be through the forums or the professors. So I think, like, even if it doesn't get us a job directly, it still offers us the opportunity to talk and to kind of like refine our search as well for what we want based on what we could, get from the professors. So I think that's very insightful.
Same for you, François?
Yes, I would say that the school brings us the opportunities to exchange with people, to meet with different professions and people, and to meet with different persons and industries. Now, as Eric said, it is all about the proactivity of the student. You have what it takes, you have what is available to you. Now what you have to do is reach out your hand, send messages, go out on different platforms or physically and say, I'm looking for an opportunity with you. What do you have to offer? I have qualities, I have skills. Let's get this done.
Just look to illustrate this. Last week we were in Barcelona. I had a meeting with the president of the French Tech in Barcelona, which is, of course, the president of an association of startups. Then, not even 1 week, less than 1 week later, there has been, yesterday, one of the students has sent a CV to one of these companies. So, I mean, in less than 1 week, there could be an opportunity just because we discuss, I provide the opportunity, and then they take the contact with the right person, and then they make their deal. I am not included in the deal. The student contact the enterprise, and then that's up to them.
Right, so that we don't obey and go and get it.
No. I provide opportunities, and my colleagues in the school provide opportunities, but after, it's up to them.
That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. All right, thank you very much. We still have a bit of time. It's time for extra time. Extra time is about conclusion. It's about saying something that we haven't said already, or maybe emphasizing something that we've mentioned already, or maybe any other way that comes to your mind. Emma, I will let you start. What would be your conclusion?
My conclusion would be, if you're interested in supply chain, go for it. There's a lot to learn, and you can really, whatever field you might be interested in, it will be relevant. So, like, if you think you could be interested in it, look, search for information, and you'll definitely find something for you.
Thank you very much. Mansour?
I would say to take your time. Take your time to understand where you want to go. Take your time to understand what you want to do, and understand how the master is going to help you to solve this issue. As I said earlier, you can work in all industries in the world, and you will be able to bring out solutions. Now the question is, how are you going to do it with who? And how long is it going to take for you to do it?
And what about you, Eric? The very last words of this interview.
Well, supply chain operations and that sort of jobs are very versatile. When you live in these areas, when you work in these areas, and that has been my experience in my personal life, you do everything. Human resources, technique, budget, contracts, negotiation, project management, information systems, you do everything. You are not in a silo, you are not in a specialized department. You are doing everything because you are responsible of make it happen at the end of the day. So this is, working in operations is an excellent place to start your career because you learn everything that is done in the company, and after it's up to you to develop this or that direction.
All right. Well, we had a saying that says like every way leads to Rome, and supply chain leads to every way you want to integrate or do in the company, something like that. If you are looking for a dynamic career in supply chain, it's at the MSc Supply Chain and Operation Management at emlyon Business School. Thank you for watching, and hope to see you soon.